Don't be afraid. It's just me. Episode 8 of He Mistook Her for a Swan. We've got a show for you, my beautiful little swans. You are going to be blown away. We'll tell you the meaning of life. And we'll give you a fantastic new song, the Battle Hymn of Suckville. As Dee Dee Ramone once said, 1, 2, 3, 4! Hey people, what did you think of that? Pretty great, eh? Pretty fucking great. Episode 8, here we are in episode 8. It is National Brothers Day. It's also National Escargot Day. What do you think of that? It's my brother's birthday tomorrow. Love my brother. I love escargot. I don't know. It's toss-up. I'll tell you, I would like to have escargot with my brother. That'd be fun. I mean, that would just check all the boxes. So I got my guitar on here. You can't tell. but it's in open D tuning. Can you tell now? You still can't tell. I'm just telling you. You gotta take my word for it. If I do that, you know. Open D, Vestapol Tuning. Why? Why is it called Vestapol Tuning? We're going down a rabbit hole now. I'm telling you, we are going to go down a rabbit hole, and it will miraculously explain the meaning of life somehow. So the other day I was talking about Elizabeth Cotten, the amazing woman blues player. And Elizabeth had a relationship with the Seeger family. Strangely enough, from what I hear, she was working, Elizabeth Cotten that is, was working in a department store. And there was a little lost girl running around. And she returned the little lost girl to her father. And the little lost girl was Peggy Seeger. So Peggy Seeger, yes, the same Peggy Seeger that Ewan MacColl fell in love with and wrote some pretty friggin' romantic tunes for. Anyway, so Peggy's half-brother was Mike Seeger, and Mike was a big fan of Elizabeth Cotten, and he learned a lot of her songs eventually when he grew up. Originally, she just worked in their house. He didn't know that she was a blues star. But anyway, Mike Seeger was another one of those Seegers who was a big music collector, very knowledgeable about traditional music. And strangely enough, I got to meet Mike Seeger when I was a youngster. He actually came all the way out to Calgary and did a little guitar workshop. And I think I've been to like one guitar workshop in my whole friggin' life. And that was it. So Mike Seeger's there, dashing dude, looked like Clint Eastwood. He's got the big pork chop sideburns. And he plays this song. And I watch what he's doing. And I figure, that is so cool. I could do that. So I go home and I figure it all out to the best of my meager abilities at the time. And I've been playing it ever since. So I've been playing this song that I saw Mike Seeger do at the only friggin' guitar workshop I've ever been to. And strangely enough, as I was digging into the Elizabeth Cotten archives last week for you fine Swan people, I noticed she had this song called Vestapol. And I listened to that and I go, holy shit, that's the song. That's the song that Mike Seeger played well back when, and I've been playing it for decades now, and that's weird, eh? So what is this friggin' Vestapol? I'll tell you what it is. The Crimean War. How often do we think of the Crimean War? Never. We never think of the Crimean War. I mean, unless you're Crimean. I'll bet even then you don't. So, 1850s Crimean War, everybody ganging up on Russia. You got your Turks, you got your French, you got your English, Egyptians in there. What the fuck are they doing in there? They just want a piece of the action. Everybody beating up on Russia. The Siege of Sevastopol. Apparently a pretty messy affair. A lot of miserable things going on there. People getting killed, getting their heads blown off. And bleh. So it's bad. It's bad. The Siege of Sevastopol, bad. So, at the same time, this dude in the States, while the frickin' siege is happening, writes a song called The Siege of Sevastopol. Becomes very popular. Here's the thing. Back in the 1800s, instruments were very gendered. I don't know if you knew this, but guitars were kind of ladies' instruments, at least in the white world anyway, and they were thought to be a little delicate, and men were supposed to play brass instruments. Pianos were also ladies' instruments. If you ever listen to any of the Jelly Roll Morton tapes, Jelly Roll Morton was recorded for the Library of Congress. I think by not by Seeger, but by one of those other guys. I'll add the link, but it's really cool stuff because he basically invented jazz in New Orleans, or he was one of the handful of guys that invented jazz in New Orleans, put it that way, and he was always worried that people would think he was a little fey for playing piano because it was a lady's instrument. So. Coming back to the Siege of Sevastopol, guitar. There was these things called parlor guitars. go figure, which I guess were just kind of littler guitars. And there was this sheet music for the Siege of Sevastopol, and all the ladies knew it. All them ladies would be sitting out on their porches, fanning themselves in the midday sun and playing the Siege of Sevastopol in open D tuning. Go figure. So, time goes by, and this tuning just gets shortened up, and they just start calling it Vestapol. Now it has a life, with the southern ladies, who are getting a little dewy on the porch, but it also has a life in the blues world as well, which they take this tuning, not the song necessarily, but the tuning, and they start writing tunes about that too. So, yeah. So, for example, Elmore James, he rocks it up, right? Here's Elmore, right? Here, I'll back up a little. He's doing this. Wait, let me just adjust here. So Elmore James, he's going. He's dusting his broom. Elmore James rocking the open D Sevastopol tuning. A little different than the ladies on the porch, I imagine. The ladies on the porch, they would faint. In those days, ladies on the porch fainted a lot if they were to hear Elmore James do that. So, yeah, strangely enough, I was just talking to my brother, but as you can tell, I was a bit of a blues nerd when I was a kid. But then I go to get into my first rock band, and my brother's in the band, and a couple other guys. We called it Cutthroat. I called it Cutthroat, which was a pretty cool pre-punk name. And then we got a manager, and he said, "You can't have a band called Cutthroat. Who's gonna go see that?" So he changed our name. Changed our name to Medusa. Go figure. Anyway, nobody in the band was old enough to play in bars but me, so we never played any bars. We played high schools, played all over the fucking place. Anyway, my point is, I figured, oh man, rock and roll music. I gotta play something. I gotta play something like rockin', right? I gotta really give her, How do I do that? Well, I go back to, I thought about, Elmore James. At first, I tried to play all those like April Wine songs in like open D, because I thought that was so fucking heavy. Well, that didn't work out very well. But that's the way it worked. There I was in my silver pants, and we had a great gig. We had a great gig in Black Diamond, Alberta, one time, which was like I think now it's part of Calgary, but back in the day, it was a separate city. There was prairie between Black Diamond and Calgary. And we go to the little community hall there, and me and the boys, we figure it's a fantastic idea to lay a big line of saltpeter and sugar down the back of the stage for our pyrotechnic show. And just as we're playing some friggin' sensational Alex Harvey band or New York Dolls song, we get our roadie. We had a roadie then. Fuck. When was the last time I had a roadie? To light the thing on fire. Just about sets my frickin' satin pants on fire, for God's sakes. Fills the whole fucking place with smoke. They have to evacuate. We're milling around outside with all the doors are open, and there's a big fucking burn mark across the whole stage. I wonder if it's still there. If anybody's in Black Diamond, Alberta, you let me know. Anyway, we went back in eventually. The smoke cleared. We played our gig. This has nothing to do with Sevastopol, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So anyway, instruments gendered. Strangely enough, these things change. Like, in the 60s and 70s, guitar was pretty male-gendered, all those guys doing that shit. Which is, one cool thing about folk music is that it was pretty equal opportunity employer. There's lots of great female folk players and male folk players in America, especially. But I think on both sides of the pond. So that's pretty cool. So here we go, and I find out, years later that this song, Vestapol, Elizabeth Cotton recorded it. So there it was. And I learned it from Mike Seeger, who was her buddy. Going back, she actually knew Elizabeth Cotton, I think, recorded the actual song Siege of Sevastopol too. So I'll play you my half-assed version of it, which again, I've been playing for so long, I don't know how much of it really is the Vestapol song and how much is just shit that I've made up over the years. But and really, I just saw Mike Seeger do it once, and I just went home and tried to figure it out. So here it is. I'll move back a little so you can see what the hell I'm doing. I'll move this over so you can. There you go. There I am. So let's see if we can do this. So what do you think of that? Vestapol. So it's like a guitar lesson. I gave you a little guitar lesson. I'm not really much of a guitar lesson kind of guy. I'll tell you something funny. There you are. Sorry, I'll tell you something. I just noticed, Laura Marling. I mentioned her the other day. I'm not trying to push Laura Marling. I don't know. I don't think she's the greatest thing in the world, but she's done some cool shit. And the thing she's doing now, I just found out, is she's given online guitar lessons, and kind of aiming them at young women, but anybody can listen. But she figures it's time for let me straighten this thing out. For some online guitar lessons to be happening here. Wait a second, my mic's gonna fall right friggin' off. See what a half-ass rig I'm doing here. So she's given online guitar lessons, and she's a pretty competent folk rock musician there. So that's cool. Let me just. This is frustrating here. Yeah, this is gonna fall right off, isn't it? There. There we go. All better now. Anyway, so I admire people who, who are able to give lessons and stuff like that. My friend Chris Houston in Hamilton, he gives guitar lessons. I think there's a special kind of talent required to do that. I don't think I really have it. Greatest guitar player I ever personally had the pleasure of playing with, and we played a lot, was a fellow named Johnny Lovesin, who's a local legend here in Toronto. Johnny opened up for the Ramones first time they came to Toronto. But Johnny was not a punk rock guy. I don't know how that happened. That was we got to ask Gary and Gary Top how that happened. But whatever. Johnny Lovesin, I would say, the most fantastic guitar player. He could play anything. And I remember asking him a couple times, Johnny, that's so cool what you just did. Show me what you did. And Johnny, he's going, Steve, I don't even know what I do myself. I can't tell you. So you have to do the voice. Like Johnny had a very legendary voice, so I had to do it. I'm sorry. I don't mean any disrespect there. So some people can teach, some people can't teach. That was Vestapol Tuning that I just showed you there. So just bringing it all back, let's just see what happened here. Miserable battle. Thousands and thousands of people died in the Crimean War at the Siege of Sevastopol. Somebody writes a song. Somebody figures out open D tuning for ladies. This goes down the line, lady to lady, and eventually Elizabeth Cotton, among other ladies, learned it. Elizabeth Cotton, completely fortuitously, ends up working for the Seeger family, including Mike Seeger. Mike Seeger strangely comes to Calgary, and I go to see him for the only guitar workshop I've ever fucking been in. He plays this song. I learn this song. 30-some years later, more than that probably. Fuck, I'm old. After playing this song for years and doing a little research into Elizabeth Cotton, who I knew anyway and loved, it turns out that's her song. So everything is connected, people. Everything is connected, and we don't know 1/1,000,000% about what the fuck is going on about anything. Roll that around in your little heads, my little Swan people. So that's it for today. It's National Brother Day, so if you got one, give him a noogie, like that. Or, whatever. Go eat some escargot if you can. It's a bit tough. Where are you going to fucking get escargot? I bet you can. I love the escargot at the keg. Anyway, be that as it may. Everybody, stay safe. Stay sane. Keep out of major trouble, like arrestable trouble. Like, you can get into a bit of trouble. I mean, if you didn't get into some trouble, you couldn't really be my friend. But don't get into that big trouble. So we'll see everybody next week. Take care. Thanks for watching.